I've said this before. I've said it on the Young Turks. I think I might have said it on this show, but here we go again because I have my friend Robert Yasamura, hilarious comedian, writer, and commercial actor, is with us here to debate this point with me. Now, I see everybody freaking out about a potential Donald Trump presidency. That's the whole thing. And I'm not going to argue that Bernie's more electable, and if you're really afraid of that, you should vote for Bernie because Hillary has a good chance of being... I'm not going to... That's another video. But right now, here's my theory. Here's why, if Donald Trump becomes president, by the way, you'll have all the Democrats united with the independents against him. Plus, you'll have a lot of Republicans also coming over because let's remember, Donald Trump is bad for down-ticket Republicans. That's why they're afraid he might lose them to Senate. Okay? So if Donald Trump becomes president, we might even have a Democratic Senate. But think about this. We have all the independents, all the Democrats, and a lot of Republicans get peeled off to work against his agenda. Now... And let's remember this. We have a super popular president right now. Barack Obama is super popular. He just nominated a Republican to the Supreme Court. They won't even give him a frickin' hearing. So let's remember. So they can thwart the president. The president can be thwarted by Congress. So people say what about Donald Trump if Donald Trump becomes president in 2 years, the Senate and the House flip for sure to Democrats. Sure.
That's the House.
Okay, let me just finish. For sure, they flip. People are afraid of it going to be flipping this year. But it will for sure in 2 years flip. And then we've got that, right? So then they go, well, what if he appoints a Supreme Court? We can still filibuster all that stuff. In 4 years... we then elect a real progressive. Now we got a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and now we got a progressive president. And that's how progressives win. If Hillary Rodham Clinton becomes president, here's my prediction. In 2 years, the House and Senate go even farther, way, way right. And they go, well, what about Supreme Court? She's going to nominate another Republican-leaning Supreme Court nominee because right now, the Republicans control the Senate, just like Barack Obama. He nominated a Republican-leading guy, a corporate-friendly Supreme Court justice. Right now, he just did that. So you think Hillary Clinton's going to be any different than that? She's not. It might even be more to the right, okay? You don't know because she's going to try and work with the Republicans because the Republicans aren't going to let a lefty get onto the Supreme Court to shift. They're not going to do it. Guess what? The Democrats could do the same thing right back to Donald Trump. They can filibuster anything if he nominates a maniac. And so what we'll probably end up with is the same kind of Supreme Court justice, no matter if Hillary Rodham Clinton is president or Donald Trump. The only difference is the House and Senate are going to flip in the midterms. It's just which way you want it to flip. So it actually helps the progressive agenda. And let me tell you, what is Donald Trump going to do that isn't already happening? This is my last point, and then we'll go. What is Donald Trump going to do that isn't already happening? Right now, if you believe Fusion already says that Barack Obama is doing on a deportation level with Hispanics what Donald Trump is only promising to do. We already did a video about that. We already talked about that on the show. That Fusion is out. They said that Barack Obama has deported more people, more Hispanics, since all the presidents combined since the 1890s. That's what Fusion said. If you believe what Fusion says, all right? So that's already happening under Barack Obama. We're already getting right-leaning justices being nominated to the Supreme Court. He's already pushing TPP. What worse can Donald Trump do? He might not even do TPP. He says he wouldn't. He said he's against these trade deals. So I don't understand. What is the bad thing that Donald Trump is going to do that isn't already happening? And by the way, what is Hillary Clinton going to do that's better than what he's going to do? She likes all the bad policies that the Republicans like. She's for TPP. Now she's against it. Believe me, she's going to flip on that. She's to the right of Donald Trump on Israel. I mean, So that's my case. So don't freak out about a Donald Trump presidency. I think, in fact, my theory is that it's even better for progressives in the short term, meaning in the 2-year term, and in 4 years for sure. But if we go the other way, we will have a Republican majority for 8 years, and it'll be a nightmare. And they will be so radical That's what we have to fear, is the House and Senate flipping in 2 years, and then in 4 years a Republican president, and then it's solid, and then we're screwed. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, that's not true because, the Republican, if you recall, the Republican Tea Party wave came in more as a reaction to George W. Bush than it did come into as a reaction to Obama, because what happened was that after Bush, everybody was saying, well, I'm not a Republican, I'm a Tea Party guy. And so all of a sudden there was this third party that was even more conservative and less interventionist and basically claiming whatever they could just to say that they're not Bush appointees. So what you could have is just the Tea Party running from Trump, saying that, well, we're not traditional Republicans. We're against the president. We're for Republican ideals. Clearly, he's not. So that's not true that they necessarily would take the Senate. And remember that these are the majority of the country is deeply gerrymandered. So there is no way that Democrats are taking the House again in the foreseeable future. It's just not going to happen. They might take the Senate, but then matter of fact, I will virtually guarantee they will take the Senate no matter what. Just because of this election cycle, I think that they're going to take the Senate because the Republican leadership has showed itself to be so badly run. Second of all, I do you're wrong about the Supreme Court, because remember that Obama appointed Sonia Sotomayor and
that's
Elena
when he had
Kagan.
a Democratic Congress, right? So Hillary is not going to if she comes in with the Republican Senate, she's going to do the same thing. She has to nominate someone that they will approve. And that's what Barack Obama's doing right here. He's like, if you don't approve him, this is someone you already guys like. He's right leaning. He was trying to embarrass them. I understand, but she's going to do the same thing. She's not going to be able to get a Sonia Sotomayor or a Kagan through this time, right?
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. I think that this year is unusual for them to filibuster this. I don't think that they can pull this off for much longer. You can't not approve somebody who is a qualified candidate. And remember that a Republican, this is just a known fact. Anybody who comes in as a Republican candidate has to be approved by the Federalist Society. That is just an unwritten rule that has been written in stone. And Federalist Society basically says to every president, you will nominate Supreme Court justices who will pledge to overturn Roe v. Wade. That's just a known thing. And I will say that there's going to be not just the Supreme Court nomination that's vacant now, but there's probably going to be two more in the next 4 years. There's probably going to be Ginsburg and Kennedy. Kennedy is the most important one that you want to get, because Kennedy is the swing vote.
So here's what I say to that. When you say that the Republicans aren't going to be able to get away with this filibustering stuff, you're underselling how crazy they are. Because if you remember, everybody said, hey, it's going to hurt you to impeach the president over this. And you had a bunch of pedophiles and wife cheaters and impeaching a guy for having an affair outside of his marriage, right? So they took a real hit in the polls for that, and they did it anyway. So you're forgetting that they all knew it was a loser to do it. They did, just like the shutdown of the government. They all knew it was a loser. It's going to hurt them. They did it anyway. So I think you're saying reasonable people wouldn't keep doing this, but they're not reasonable.
I think it's a legal issue, because there is a point where if they keep denying a nominee, that they can be sued. It's constitutionally
So you're saying
illegal
that you think that the Republicans will cave before the Democrats, and I'm just going to have to agree to
No,
disagree.
Democrats will always cave first. That's the other thing, is that I think that the notion that a Democratic Senate or a Democratic House, which isn't going to happen, but a Democratic Senate gives them any more power. Remember that even if you put together a strong coalition of Democrats, independents, and left-leaning Republicans, they're still going to be weak. They're still Democrats.
Okay.
They still can be held hostage. And then you've got that situation, plus you've got somebody who is insane.
Okay.
Who is running the government, who is an insane person, who clearly has shown a penchant for just shooting from the hip and not considering.
That's why I think that the opposition will be easy to build against him. It'll be easy to build coalitions against him for all those reasons. And so I hear what you're saying. They've heard what I've said. I disagree. I think it's just fear of Donald Trump. The guy, a lot of people say this. Cenk Uygur makes the point of how incompetent he is, which he is.
He's grossly incompetent.
Every time he tries to run a business, he has to declare bankruptcy. What he's really makes his money on is selling his name to businesses. He doesn't run. They pay him to put his name on the building. He doesn't really do anything when he tries to run a business. He runs it bankrupt. So. My point is, if he's this guy makes Bush look like a genius, right? And so, as far as in government, I mean, getting stuff done, so he won't be. I'm telling you, the coalition against him will be so strong. And by the way, if we elect Hillary, we have to keep waiting for progressive values to get manifest in our government. It's not going to happen. It's just like when Barack Obama was president. We didn't get anything really progressive done. We got the right wing's health care plan done. And when Occupy Wall Street happened, he didn't do anything about it. He split the natural opposition. So let's close this.
But hold on. History may well prove you right.
Thank you.
But I am not. But hold on. I'm.
Let's cut it.
Let's be clear. That was, and I hate to pull out this trope, but that's true about Hitler too. They never had another Hitler once they voted for that one Hitler. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not gonna be the person who votes for the complete destruction of democracy in order to get a better democracy. I can't do it.
I don't think it's the destruction of democracy. I think democracy rises up. I think that's what I'm saying. Okay, that's my opinion. Let me know what your opinion is.